I know you've been through a lot, Mr. Fenton, but if you'll only try to recall anything else about the appearance of these two men.
Now, Lieutenant, couldn't this wait? Fenton's just spent 14 horrible hours locked in a vault.
Well, it really wasn't too bad, Mr. Waterman. You see, I made a bed of the empty money bags there, and I was quite comfortable. Although I did get up once or twice during the night and...
All right, Mr. Fenton. I'm only trying to get something to go on.
Oh.
Waterman, do you want your money back or don't you?
The welfare of my employees comes first, Lieutenant. First, last, and always.
And you also happen to be insured.
Yes. So, don't answer if you don't feel up to it, Fenton.
Oh, I don't mind, Mr. Waterman. I'm certainly willing to cooperate. Now, as near as I can remember...
You better get this, Davis.
As near as I can remember, of course, I just got a flash when they forced me into the vault.
Yes, we understand that, Mr. Fenton.
And as near as I can remember, there was a tall man, you see. Not too tall, of course. And then there was another one, a shorter man.
But not too short.
No, come to think of it, the short one was the taller one of the two.
And I suppose the thin one wasn't as heavy as the fat one.
I'm not sure. You see, they were wearing masks, rubber masks, you know, and one had on a Boris Karloff mask, and the other one was Dick Tracy. See, it was sure a shock seeing him, you know.
Mr. Cartwright, is it policy for this store to keep such a large amount of cash on hand overnight?
Yes. The store does a tremendous cash business, Lieutenant. Tremendous.
And yesterday was Dollar Day.
Thank you. How did it happen Fenton was alone with all of that cash? Does he customarily lock up the vault by himself?
Not customarily, no, but when I was unavoidably called away from the store...
Did that happen often?
Well...
Very seldom. Very seldom that happened. Very seldom.
But it did happen yesterday. I say it did happen last night, didn't it? And two men forced you into the vault and made off with a big hunk of dough.
At precisely 5:56. Then at 8:02 in the morning, Mr. Cartwright opened the vault and let me out, you see. Then at 8:05, I went to punch in the time clock. You see, Mr. Waterman, that's why I was 5 minutes late.
We've decided to overlook that, Fenton. It will not show on your record.
Thank you, Mr. Waterman.
Incidentally, Lieutenant, we won't know how much was stolen until I can make an audit.
Well, I figured it was pretty close to $50,000.
If there's any question, Lieutenant, of corroborating Fenton's story, I need only say that he's been with Waterman's for 30 years, a good and faithful servant.
Well, to be a little more exact, Mr. Waterman, I've been with you 29 years, 11 months, and 28 days. Matter of fact, in 2 more days, I was due for retirement until this unfortunate accident happened.
Nonsense, Fenton, nonsense. You will retire. And if there's any question, Lieutenant, of his character, his honesty, his devotion...
Yeah, sure, Mr. Waterman. Go home and get some rest, Fenton. Oh, if you want to skip the press, you better go out the back way.
What do you think, Mr. Waterman?
Well, it's entirely up to you, my boy, entirely. But in these days of doubt and confusion and dishonesty in high places, I believe your simple story of courage and devotion to duty will be an inspiration everywhere.
I'm ready to face the press.
Hello, Mother! I'm home.
Good morning, Harold. Oh, poor dear. You must be starving. There's a bowl of cereal ready for you.
Hey, Mother, aren't you going to ask me how it went?
I heard over the radio, but I do wish there'd been some way of doing it without keeping you out all night.
Oh, Mother, I wasn't out all night. I was in a ball.
I know you were, Harold. And if you keep on, you're going to end up with that same sinus drip your father used to have.
Oh, Mother, the vault was warm and dry. It wasn't like Father's prison cell.
Hurry and eat your cereal. You'll feel better.
You know, I don't have to go back until tomorrow. Mr. Waterman gave me the day off.
Well, that was certainly big of him, after all you've done for the store. How much did you get?
$50,000. It's in my desk at the office, in the drawer with the false bottom. You know, Mother, I learned something about myself that I never knew before. You know, I'm quite an actor.
You're not eating your cereal, son.
Maybe if I hadn't taken up bookkeeping, I might have been a big movie star, making love to Marilyn Monroe or Lana Turner, Betty Grape.
Harold, they are married women.
On the screen, Mother. On the screen.
Oh, well, the way things turned out, I'm glad you're a bookkeeper. After all, it's better to have a respectable occupation.
Yeah, I guess so. Take one job, stick to it, and work hard, and someday it pays off. The next morning at 7:59, I punched in at the store. Figuring 308 working days a year, that makes 9,240 punches. It was a little strange to think of this being my last punch, but I had the satisfaction of knowing that it was a knockout. There was something different about this morning. Everyone had a smile for me. In the elevator, there was Mr. Philbus, assistant buyer in leather goods, and Helen Prentice, that pretty blonde I always liked who worked on the 10th floor with me. She was now Mr. Cartwright's secretary, and she certainly had worked her way up. When I first met her, she was in the basement.
Well, Fenton, back at the old desk, eh?
Yes, it didn't seem quite right being away from it.
Got a surprise for you this afternoon, Fenton. Going to make a little ceremony out of your retirement.
A ceremony?
Oh, yes, good for store morale. Right, Cartwright?
Absolutely, Mr. Waterman, absolutely.
And, about that little request of yours you made last week, Fenton, I wouldn't be a bit surprised. We can swing it.
Oh, you're too kind, Mr. Waterman.
Oh, not at all. Oh, it's been a wonderful relationship working with you these 30 years, and I think we're all richer for the experience.
Well, I know I am. As was my habit, I ate my lunch in the park. The chopped liver sandwich was delicious. All Mother's sandwiches were good, but she really put her heart into the chopped liver. I always brought a small chocolate bar to share with the squirrels. I ate the chocolate, gave them the nuts. Here you are. Here you are, Mr. Waterman. Here you are. Yeah. Now, don't be greedy. Don't be greedy, Mr. Waterman. Leave some for Mr. Cartwright. That's it. That's it.
Excuse me.
Oh.
Would you mind if I join you, Mr. Fenton?
Well, of course. I mean, of course not. Sit down. Sit down, Miss Prentice.
Thank you.
Now, cut that out, Mr. Waterman.
He does look a little pompous, doesn't he? Which one is Mr. Cartwright?
Oh, that one over there with the mustache. The other squirrels don't like him. You know, he bites. There you are.
And is there a Miss Prentice?
Well, there is, but right now she's,
Nesting?
well.
Oh, how long have you been feeding them, Mr. Fenton? They seem so friendly.
Oh, about 30 years. So it's my favorite animal.
Oh.
Now, one thing about a squirrel, you know, you give him a nut, and does he eat it right away? No, he runs away and stores it in a hole. Believe me, we could all profit from their example.
And now that you've stored your little nest egg, you're retiring.
Well, yes. You see, I have my eye on a cottage by the lake and in the woods with a lot of squirrels and no time clocks. You know?
You and your wife?
No, my mother.
Oh. You know, it certainly is a shame the way those bandits got away with $50,000. Why, look what a man like yourself could have done with all that money. You could have your cottage and a wife, too.
Well, I don't know about that last part. I'm afraid I'm not very attractive to women.
Why, on the contrary, Mr. Fenton, I think you're quite good-looking.
Oh, now, Miss Prentice.
Well, you have such clear blue eyes.
Well, yes.
Well, I'm not the only girl who thinks you're attractive. Do you know, none of the girls at the store can understand why you never married.
I don't know. I guess it just never occurred to me. I don't know what I'd do with a wife.
Well, you could learn. With the right kind of girl to teach you.
Well, it's 5 minutes to 1. I think we better punch in, huh?
You know, I keep wondering what those robbers are going to do with all that money.
Well, if they're stuck with it, it's their own fault.
Well, there he is, Fenton. Yes, we've been waiting for our, shall we say, guest of honor.
Me?
You, Fenton. Yes, we have a little ceremony to bid farewell to a good and faithful servant. One who has given 30 years of his life as a contribution, however small, to making Waterman's the great institution it is today. Well done, Harold Fenton.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And all I can say is...
And now a surprise for Harold Fenton. A week ago, in a letter to me, our good and faithful servant requested that on his retirement, he be given permission to purchase for his home his old desk.
Mr. Waterman, I don't know what I'd do without it.
Now, frankly, I put a lot of thought to this simple request. I weighed the factors in my mind. On one hand was Fenton's 30-year service, and on the other...
Mr. Waterman.
On the other, he was already receiving his pension of, his pension. However...
Mr. Waterman.
However, Fenton, my boy, I decided to go you one better.
One better? You don't mean a new desk?
Nothing so unsentimental. No, Fenton, instead of allowing you to purchase the desk, I'm giving it to you. All right, boys. They have orders to deliver the desk to your house. All right, back to work, everybody.
Be careful.
And then clear
Careful. Don't drop anything. Don't drop any of the drawers.
That old desk certainly means a lot to you, doesn't it, Fenton? I'll bet you wouldn't take $1,000 for it.
I certainly wouldn't, Mr. Waterman. It means a lot more than that to me. Retirement agreed with me. I love to putter around in my garden. It was a thrill to plant a little packet of seeds and watch the vegetables grow. I just finished planting some lettuce. $50,000 worth. I counted it so often I was developing a green thumb.
You better not for one morning, Harold. Your back will go out again.
All through, Mother.
Harold, what were you planting this morning?
Mother, if anything should happen to me, right between the beets and the radishes is a very rich patch of dirt.
Son, how about that little cottage we saw by the lake? It's just what we wanted.
Yes, but they're asking too much money for it. I wouldn't want to squander Mr. Waterman's money like that.
It was good of you to drop in, Fenton. I'm having the devil of a time trying to clean up accounts on the robbery. What was your final tally again?
$50,000 almost exactly, Mr. Cartwright.
Oh, you're way off. That doesn't check with my audit at all.
Well, I'm sure my figures are right.
Well, then you're wrong, that's all. My check shows they got away with $82,000.
$82,000?
That's right. Now, if you'll just sign the necessary statements corroborating my audit.
I can't do that, Mr. Cartwright.
And just why can't you? Don't you take my word for it?
Well, frankly, no.
Look, Fenton, let's be reasonable. You're retired. It's nothing to you one way or another. You just made a little mistake in your figures, that's all.
You mean you want me to cover up for your shortages in your account?
All right. All right, Fenton, I'll lay it on the line with you. Temporarily, I'm a little bit short. Involvement with a woman and... Well, you wouldn't understand.
I most certainly wouldn't.
I'll make it worth your while.
But shortages are found out sooner or later.
All right, Fenton. If that's your attitude, let me tell you something. I don't like the smell of this robbery of yours. I don't like it at all. Now, what do you think of that?
What do you mean?
I think it's highly possible that you took off with the $50,000.
Mr. Cartwright, if for one instant I were capable of doing a thing like that, don't Don't you think I'm much too clever to put my head in a noose by covering up for you?
Mr. Fenton, if I were talking to an honest man, wouldn't he have taken my story straight to Mr. Waterman? I'll give you 1 minute. Either sign my audit, or I'll go to the police and accuse you of stealing $82,000. Think it over, Fenton.
No question about it, Mr. Cartwright's dishonesty might be a bit awkward for me. My instinct about the man had been thoroughly sound. I had disliked him for 16 years, and now I distrusted him too. Well, there was only one safe way out of it.
Well?
Mr. Cartwright, if you need money...
Yes?
Why don't you rob the vault? It really isn't difficult at all.
Well, how do I get away with the money?
Well, this I can't tell you.
Well, you'll have to help me, Fenton. Lock me in the vault and you take the money.
Me?
Sure. That way we're both in the clear for good.
You mean I should clear out the vault a second time?
Well, you'll never regret it.
Regret it? I'd rather enjoy it.
Hello, Harold.
Miss Prentice. Helen. But the money.
Well, I was listening when you and Mr. Cartwright made your plans, and he caught me and forced me to help him. Oh, you understand, don't you, Harold?
Helen, Mr. Cartwright mentioned a woman in his life. You're not the one.
Harold, of course not.
Oh, excuse me, Helen. I was just thinking of the office party last Christmas.
Oh, that. Well, that was just because he was under the mistletoe. And if you had been under the mistletoe instead of Mr. Cartwright...
Really? Gee. Yeah. I'm sorry, Miss Prentice. I guess I just lost my head. I didn't know what it was that made me do that to Helen. Maybe it was the perfume she was wearing. Intoxication, she called it. I must have had one whiff too many because suddenly I felt very drunk. It was a good feeling, though. One of courage. And I was already planning on some way to get even with Mr. Cartwright. Not for what he was making me do, but because he was forcing poor innocent Miss Prentice to witness this horribly dishonest transaction.
Oh, Fenton, you're here. Good. Anybody see you come up?
No. I got some wrapping paper for the money, and I even brought a handle with care sticker. You know, the Fenton touch.
Never mind that.
Well, there's no need to be nervous. See, I spent 8 years in mailing and wrapping.
All right, all right.
Wait a minute. I thought I was supposed to take the money.
There's been a change, Fenton. I rewrote the script.
Well, do you think that's wise to fly in the face of my experience?
Look, Fenton, do you think I'm a child? Lock me in the vault and you take off with the money? You think I'd ever see you again?
Well, you're questioning my honesty. Well, I'm sure that Miss Prentice can vouch for me, because we're pretty good friends. Eh, Miss Prentice? Helen.
Unfortunately for you, Fenton, Helen's on my side. Now, if you wouldn't mind getting in the vault.
Me? Me getting in the vault?
This is a loaded gun, Fenton. Get in the vault.
But...
You came back for a second helping, that's all.
But, Mr. Cartwright...
Your Confederate got away with the money, but I courageously slammed the vault door shut on you and went for help.
But, Mr.
Will they
Cartwright...
believe me? I imagine they'll find the $50,000 somewhere around your house. They'll believe me.
Helen... I see.
I'm sorry, Harold. It is a nasty trick, but we're nasty people. You should have stuck to your squirrels.
One more thing, Fenton. How did you ever get that 50,000 out of here the first time?
How? Well, I didn't.
You didn't?
Well, where is it?
Well, it's still in the vault.
I don't believe it.
Oh, yes, I have it very cleverly hidden up there. You see, it took me most of the night.
All right, Fenton, get in there and show me.
Well,
All right, where is it?
it's way up on top there to the left of the vent.
Well, we'll need a ladder.
No, we won't. Here, Fenton, you get on my shoulders. I'll push up.
No, wait a minute. I'm too heavy. Helen is lighter.
That's right. Helen, here, put your foot in my... Put your foot here.
Now, be careful.
Get on my shoulders.
You won't hold
Don't drop her.
Watch out.
Don't drop her. Don't drop her.
I can't find anything up
feel
there.
around up
Hold
there.
on to me for that. I can't find a thing. Where is it?
I don't know why they trusted me. I wouldn't have trusted them. Oh, well. I hated the idea of Helen being locked up in the vault all night with Mr. Cartwright. But since I could think of no practical way of changing places with him, I decided to go home. Mother would be wondering what happened to me. They would have opened the vault by 8 o'clock, so the police should be here any minute.
Harold, are you sure those two will implicate you in this?
More than likely, Mother. You see, they'll find the gun on Mr. Cartwright, and he won't be able to explain it. Then they'll find my fingerprints all over the place, and I'm not even working there anymore. And I'm sure that Miss Prentice will turn on Mr. Cartwright after a night in the vault.
Yes, she's just the type.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Mother. I guess I just don't know too much about some women. That must be the police.
I'll get it.
Good morning. Harold Fenton at home?
Right this way, sir.
Good morning, Lieutenant. Good morning. I just finished my cereal. Would you care for some?
No, thanks. Well, shall we go?
Do you think they'll be very hard with him, Lieutenant? After all, he hadn't spent any of the money.
Oh, I don't think so. As long as the insurance company gets its money back, I think they'll give him a break.
How long?
2 years. Maybe less, maybe even 1.
Still a long time.
After 30 years at Waterman's? Mother. Well, Lieutenant, let's go out the garden, see if we can dig up some money.